How dignified burials are helping grieving families find closure in Mozambique in the aftermath of Cyclone Idai. A Kenyan teacher gets a hero's welcome back home after winning a $1 million award. And Nigerians turn to tech to find the perfect home. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. As the floodwaters recede in cyclone hit southern Africa, officials are starting to assess medium and long-term requirements, including food security, health needs, and improving disaster preparedness. UN humanitarian chief Mark Lowcock said Tuesday that hundreds of thousands of hectares of agricultural land have been essentially put out of use in the short term by Cyclone Idai. Cyclone Idai slammed into Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe in mid-March, bringing powerful winds, major rains, and storm-side flooding. Nearly 900,000 people have been confirmed dead across the three countries. Many more are missing, and hope is fading for them to be found alive, and that is 900 people. Even before Idai wreaked havoc, parts of this region faced food insecurity. Inconsistent rains combined with an economic crisis had 5.3 million people in Zimbabwe in humanitarian need. The United Nations says an additional 270,000 people require assistance. The world body has issued an appeal for $394 million to cover emergency needs for 3 months for the three countries. Only $46 million have been promised so far. Additional appeals will come later for long-term requirements. More than 700 people have died in southern Africa following Cyclone Idai. Many bodies still have not been found, but there is frustration as relatives often lack the tools to bury those that have been found. Sam Holder of Reuters reports.
The floodwaters are finally receding, but now comes the painful task of finding and burying the victims of Cyclone Idai. Some still don't know where their loved ones died. Others were buried, but quickly, in a landscape that's been remolded by water.
There's no way to cross to where my mother is buried. I don't know exactly where my mother is buried. I don't know exactly where my mother's grave is, whether it's here or there.
Over 700 people died across southern Africa. Burying family members is hard enough, but many survivors have lost everything, so now rely on help from the Red Cross.
We provide equipment and, basic things like spades and hoes, just to even dig a hole, because it is so difficult out here.
The cyclone may be over, but the risks aren't. More than 1,000 cases of cholera have been confirmed in Mozambique. Almost 1 million vaccinations are arriving to prevent it spreading. That should cover most of the population for 6 months. But the damage to water and sanitation means an epidemic is possible.
Well, that report by Sam Holder of Reuters. Angolan healthcare professionals are also in Mozambique, assisting those affected by Cyclone Idai in Beira, the worst-hit city. Aid workers are helping contain the outbreak of fast-spreading cholera. Up to 900,000 people are expected to be vaccinated starting this Wednesday. Ntuma Mendes, a senior nurse at Luanda's pediatric hospital, David Banadino, leads one of the Angolan medical teams.
We're going to do healthcare treatments, treating women, children and adults here. We are promoting healthy habits in terms of hygiene, advising the residents because we have seen that problems with water and food may occur. We will talk about personal and public health and will mentor the population to preserve their resources in order to avoid further problems than those already caused by the cyclone. What worries us are the diseases that may occur, like chronic diseases, respiratory diseases, malnutrition, especially in children. We have to control other pathologies that may occur besides the ones that are already happening. Malaria is possible, in addition to diarrheal diseases, acute respiratory problems and malnutrition. Well, we are here because of the size of the problem. We will keep helping them, and whenever we see that there is a reduction, that the situation is under control, I believe the Mozambican government will collaborate with us because we are here to assist. We won't change what exists here. We are only monitoring, helping in collaboration with the Mozambican professionals.
Well, that was Ntuma Mendes, an Angolan healthcare professional, speaking to VOA in Beira, Mozambique. Like many developing countries, Rwanda's population is quite young. Over 50% of the population is under 20 years old. This means that there is a great number of youth who were born after the horrendous genocide of 1994. VOA's Edward Reimer spoke with Rwandan youth born after the genocide to understand their personal connection to the genocide and their role as youth and views on the 25th anniversary. Today we hear from 20-year-old Idea Akabibi.
I learned about the genocide against Tutsi, 99 genocide against Tutsi from my parents, from my teachers, instructors, and beside from those people, I learned that from the history, and apart from I being Rwandan, even the world must know it because it's a tragedy which happened in Rwanda that everyone must know. Yeah.
Were you affected by it, or were members of your family affected by it?
Yeah, sure. Because before genocide in '59, my grandparents went to Burundi, and I think I'm not yet affected directly, but I'm affected indirectly because when they are not all of them has gone to Burundi. Some stayed in Rwanda, but I think that shifting from Rwanda to Burundi, it was a very difficult moment, and they had to undergo through different things which really affected them. And if they affected them, it means they affected me, yes.
Now, you are a young Rwandan, and you know that in every situation that involves conflict, they normally use the youth to put in place or participate in that conflict. So what do you think should be the role of the Rwandan youth right now in protecting or making sure that whatever happened in Rwanda never happens again?
Yeah, thank you. The first role is to take it as our things, it's our history, and it's our Rwanda which we are fighting for. And first of all, if we want to go further, we have to know what happened, to learn what happened, and take a risk and take precautions. There are some people who are negativists and they are against Rwanda, and they are talking about they are just acting like nothing happened, though what they're saying did happen, and genocide didn't happen. So my role as a youth is to prove that the genocide happened, and for me to prove is to learn first.
Well, to tell us more, viewers, Edward Reimer now joins me live from Kigali. Good evening, Eddie.
Good evening, Vincent. How is Washington?
Good. Now, that is a good, interesting conversation you had with that young lady. Tell us about this generational differences. We have those who lived through the genocide, and then there are those who were born way after. How are they seeing things? How are they observing the 25th anniversary of the genocide?
I would say that when you listen to most of the youth, especially those who were born right after the genocide, they think that they should move on. They are very optimistic about the future that they're trying to build. And they're trying to say that however much the tragedy befell the country of Rwanda, them as the youth, the majority in this country, because they say probably 65% of the population here in Rwanda are youth, so they would rather move forward rather than be dragged by the past of the country. Again, you'll also find another chunk of Rwandan youth whose either parents have not been frank enough to tell them about either their role or what happened in the country, and you find that this other youth thinks the other way. So there's that sharp contrast, but I believe that a majority of them believe that time is now, to move ahead and build their country.
And how does that complicate things, given that there are those you see are still hurting? We have seen some profiles where people are still crying when they remember what happened to them. And then there are those who are saying, let's move on. How does that affect the whole process of reconciliation and unifying of the country and healing?
When talking about the issue of freshness of what happened in Rwanda, I can tell you that that issue is really still fresh here in Rwanda. Just 2 days ago, I visited a village of elders who, just the fact that one of them was telling the story of what happened, they started crying. Some of them went into trauma. So the issue itself is still fresh. The issue of reconciliation, I can say the government has put a lot of emphasis to make sure that Rwandans see themselves in the mirror of Rwandans rather than seeing themselves in the mirror of ethnicity, Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa. So this particular process is helping heal societies. And then when we talk about the issue of Gacaca, which was the traditional court system, it also helped whereby the killers and the victims would meet together and then, reach out a compromise and forgive each other. So I would say the progress is good, reconciliation is building, but there's still a long way to go. Like I said, the memories are still fresh in the minds of the people, most of whom lost their beloved ones 25 years ago.
Indeed, what a sad thing it was. Eddie, thank you. Excellent reporting. We expect more from you in the coming days. We appreciate that. Well, that's VOA's Edward Rwema reporting live from Kigali in Rwanda. Now, as the 25th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide approaches on Sunday, April the 7th, we bring the moving stories of those who lived through one of the darkest periods of African history. In the the third installment of our Survivor series, ordinary Rwandans share their stories of loss, survival, and hope for their country. This is Innocent Gasingwa's story.
Here is a blow of machete. You can see a scar here on my neck where I cannot see. Does not matter to me compared to the image of that day, the 7th of April. That one will remain with me all my life because it is the darkest moment I endured in my life. You see, I was a 44-year-old man and I had 7 children. All of them were killed in front of my eyes. That is an image that every parent will keep. You can forget any other thing, but not that one. I have already forgiven them in my mind, although none of them approached me to beg pardon. I did it in order to have a peace of mind. What I needed was peace. Our government granted it, so there was no reason to keep that hatred. That is why I decided to forgive them on my own. The hatred and the anger cannot bring back my family. There is nothing they can pay me to replace my wife and children. For me, the best thing I had to do so that I can go to heaven and meet them was to forgive their killers. Because keeping the anger always leads to bad thoughts. Now I feel free in me. I heard that some of the perpetrators were released, but I have no problem with that. I know they cannot dare to come and see me. I do not want to see them either, but even if I can come across them, I will not have any problem because I have already forgiven them. The country that I can give as an example is our Rwanda. When you see the way the genocide was carried out, and we still live with those who killed our families, you know the genocide was perpetrated by Hutus against Tutsis. And now we are living together without any problem.
Well, still in East Africa, Kenya's Garissa University on Tuesday marked 4 years since an Al-Shabaab militant attack claimed 148 lives, most of them students. While the Somali terrorist group has claimed assault since then, it remains their deadliest attack inside Kenya. Raila Mbur reports from Nairobi.
24-year-old Vitalis Opio is a carpenter in Nairobi, but in 2015, he was studying to be a teacher at Garissa University when militants attacked. Opio says early on April 2nd, he heard what sounded like gunshots, and after some minutes, the sound of people screaming. His two roommates ran outside to see what was happening. It was the last time Opio saw them alive.
They started moving door to door, for which they got into my room. But by then, I had to hide behind the door. The way you open the door this way, the other side, at the back of the door, I just stood there still. So they got in, but maybe I was lucky. It was just by God's grace I survived. They didn't see me.
Al-Shabaab terrorists killed 148 people at Garissa University, almost all of them students. The university took 9 months to reopen, but now has 1,500 students, more than double the number in 2015. Vice-Chancellor Ahmed Osman Warfa says they have healed from the tragedy.
We have moved on because of resilience, because of our marketing strategies, and because of what we have done. That has brought a lot of students back to the university. We have put up a perimeter wall, and then we have also established a police post which houses 30 officers.
After security increased at sites of their previous attacks, Al-Shabaab hit a softer target this year on January 15th. The attack on Nairobi's Dusit D2 hotel and office complex killed 21 people. But Kenyan security's response time was credited for the fewer deaths compared to previous attacks.
We used to see an coordinated response that also used to take a bit long. But I think if you remember what happened recently with the Dusit attack, even if we lost lives, I think the number of people who were rescued and the way the whole issue was handled in terms of communication, in terms of the time of response, I think we have learned, the security forces have learned important lessons.
Despite security progress, for survivors like Opio, the threat of Al-Shabaab attacks remain a reality for which Kenya must always be prepared. Raila Mbur for VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Still ahead on Africa 54, property-focused technology firms boom in Nigeria. But first, a look at Wednesday's headlines.
On our Voices, we're talking about the news and issues you're talking about, sharing stories of development and growth across Africa,
around the world, and in our lives. Topics that inform, empower,
and change the rules.
It's time for Our Voices with me, Haiti Adams Fitzpatrick,
and Hadiza Kiari,
and Ayan Bior,
and Orion Itangi Shaka.
It's time for Our Voices.
Well, here in the U.S. Judiciary Committee on Wednesday voted to authorize subpoenas to obtain a full version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report, which a summary by Attorney General William Barr said did not establish collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia during the 2016 election. Barr has set a mid-April timeline for release of a redacted version of the report. VOA's congressional correspondent, Katherine Gibson, has more on the battle ahead on Capitol Hill.
Democrats' deadline for handover of the full Mueller report came and went.
If you look at every prior case of an independent counsel and a special counsel, they've turned over the entire report within a day or two. So what's taking place here is a sharp break from precedent, and it's indefensible.
The results of that 400-page report, known publicly only through a 4-page summary by Attorney General William Barr. President Trump previously said he has no objection to the report's release, but that appeared to change Tuesday.
I'll rely on the Attorney General to make decisions, but I will tell you, anything that's given to them will never be good enough. You could give them the more documents that they've ever seen, and it would never be good enough. So I think it's somewhat of a waste of time. This is just politics at a very low level.
Trump framing the effort as a personal attack by House Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler and House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff.
We're going to insist that the entire report be produced, that we not get some either Barr version of the report or some heavily blacked out copy. There's no reason why the Attorney General can't seek court permission to disclose all the grand jury material, which could be a sizable portion of that report. That has been the precedent in Watergate. And at the end of the day, we're not going to allow this Attorney General handpicked by the President to oppose the obstruction case to bury Mueller's report and findings.
Both sides arguing the question over the report's release should rest on what is best for the American public.
They lost in 2016. They lost because they tried to convince all of America of something that we all knew was untrue, that the president had colluded with Russia. It was a total lie then. It's a total lie now. And they continue to lose on this issue. At some point, they have to decide that they're ready to move on like the rest of the country.
Democrats say transparency is key, and that can't happen if the report is delayed or heavily redacted.
I'd hate to think that the Attorney General is engaged in dilatory tactics in the hopes that as time goes by, public concern about what's in the report fades, and for that matter, he has more time to redact material that maybe is relevant and should be available to the Congress and the public.
Nadler will have the choice to use the subpoenas following the Wednesday vote. He has also called for Barr to immediately appear before Congress. Katherine Gibson, VOA News, Capitol Hill.
Well, from a humble teacher to instant celebrity, that has been the life of a Kenyan teacher after winning $1 million award. Science teacher Peter Mokaya Tabichi was awarded the Global Teacher Prize in March. He's now back at the school where he works in Kenya's Rift Valley region. Serena Chaudhry reports.
A hero's welcome for Peter Mokoya Tabichi. The Kenyan science teacher is back in Nakuru after winning the Global Teacher Prize in Dubai last month, bringing with him $1 million in prize money.
This victory is not mine, it's everyone's victory. It's a win for the students, for Kenyans and the whole of Africa.
Tabichi was recognized for his efforts towards educating needy children in Kenya's Rift Valley region. It's a country that offers free primary education, but reports about absent teachers, missing classroom materials and poor standards are all too common. Under Tabichi's guidance, student enrollment at the Kericho Mixed Day Secondary School has increased. And despite having only one computer in the school, some of his students have gone on to win various local and international science competitions. On the streets, his students couldn't contain their excitement over his award. Given by the Farkey Foundation, the prize attracted more than 10,000 competitors from around the world.
He has inspired me. He has been my mentor. He has been helping many people in different ways. He has been paying school fees for many. I would urge people to work hard and emerge as he has done, a winner in the whole world. And we are so happy.
The secondary school teacher, who's a member of the Franciscan Brothers, donates 80% of his salary towards local community projects, including education, agriculture and peace building.
That's some food there. Well, that report was by Reuters reporter Serena Chowdhury. Well, here now is what's trending. Nigerians searching for their dream home to buy or rent are turning to the internet in droves, leading to a surge in the number of property-focused technology firms. The emergence of these prop tech companies is due to the country's rapid population growth, faster broadband speed and cheaper smartphones that have also benefited other sectors, from retail to gambling, in the last few years. Nigeria has the highest number of internet users in Africa, with approximately 107 million internet data subscribers, an increase of around 85% over 5 years. That's according to the country's Communications Commission. Well, next up, a new company is offering people a digital detox in the form of glasses that makes screens appear black when viewed through the special lenses. IRL glasses use rotated polarized glass to block light emitting from LED and LCD and some computer screens, but not OLED screens. They do not block digital billboards, smartphone or tablet screens. IRL says it has received offers from large retailers, though it is not focused on mass producing them. It prefers to improve them by making them block out more screens. An academic partnership with the University of Rochester is planned for autumn 2019. Well, and that's our show for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night.